Nothing enslaves the human mind faster than desire. Machiavelli knew lust can conquer where armies fail. Think about it. What if the most dangerous weapon in power isn't the sword, but seduction? Because sometimes the person who touches your body ends up controlling your mind. Let's talk about it. Machiavelli's darkest truth. Machiavelli stripped away every illusion. He didn't believe people were driven by logic. He knew it was passion that ruled them. And no passion is more dangerous than lust, not just for the body, but for beauty, for attention, for possession. Lust has toppled kings, started wars, and built entire empires on the backs of silent desire. By the end of this video, you'll see 7 ruthless ways lust is used as a weapon of power, and how Machiavelli's dark truth reveals the real weakness behind every craving. If you crave power, clarity, and control over your own mind, subscribe now. This channel doesn't feed your ego, it sharpens your edge. Lust clouds judgment. Machiavelli never underestimated armies, but what he truly feared was the man who couldn't think straight. And nothing scrambles the mind faster than lust. Not just sexual hunger, but the lust for beauty, validation, possession, the kind of desire that seeps beneath armor and undoes the mind. You've seen it. Men with empires, brought down by a glance. Generals who lose wars chasing women. Leaders who forget their throne for a night of pleasure. It's not weakness of the body, it's blindness of the mind, and that's exactly what makes lust so dangerous. Because lust doesn't scream. It whispers, it flatters you, then leads you straight into the trap. It makes you justify stupidity. It wraps poison in perfume, and before you know it, the thing you crave becomes the thing that controls you. Machiavelli understood this. He saw kings seduced into betrayal, allies ruined by vanity, enemies defeated without a single sword, just a well-timed temptation. Because here's the ruthless truth. A man in lust doesn't think, he reacts. And when you react, you're predictable, you're manipulable, you're weak. That's why seduction has been used for centuries, to make strong men act like fools, to make cold minds burn with impulse, to make emperors lose their edge. And you, if you're not aware of this force, if you don't recognize how lust clouds your judgment, then you're walking into battle with a blindfold on. So Machiavelli's first lesson is this: exploit the cravings of others, guard your own. If you know what someone lusts for, you can lead them anywhere, straight into ruin, straight into your hands. Because lust doesn't just blind, it enslaves. And once the mind is enslaved, power slips through the fingers. Seduction disarms power. You can't breach a fortress from the outside, not if it's guarded well. Walls, soldiers, steel, they protect power from direct attack. But seduction, it doesn't climb the walls, it walks through the front gate, smiling, soft, harmless. That's the terrifying brilliance of it. Even the strongest ruler, the one who commands fear, can be undone by a glance, a whisper, a soft touch behind closed doors. Because power guards against war, but not against want. You see, when a man is challenged, he armors up, but when he's desired, he lowers his guard. Machiavelli knew this. He saw how the seducer bypasses all resistance. They don't fight you head on. They become what you want, then make you surrender willingly. The blade never flashes, but the kill is just as real. And here's the ruthless insight. Use seduction like infiltration. Don't force open the gates. Let the hunger of your target do the work for you. The queen who flatters the king gains influence. The advisor who knows the ruler's secret craving becomes indispensable. The enemy who becomes a lover becomes lethal. It's not about romance, it's about control. Because when you seduce a mind, You control the actions that follow. And that is Machiavelli's weapon. If you can't conquer power, make it love you, make it trust you, then command it from the inside. The sword needs force, seduction needs timing, but both kill just as effectively. Lust creates dependence. Desire doesn't just distract, it enslaves. Once a man craves something or someone, he'll build his entire life around getting it, or worse, keeping it. You think it's love, but it's not. It's need, disguised in pleasure. Machiavelli understood. If you control what someone desires, you control them. Because here's the dark truth. We don't serve people out of logic. We serve them out of addiction. Lust makes you return, even when you know it's dangerous. It makes kings chase the same woman who weakens their judgment. It makes warriors betray allies for a touch of pleasure. And the most ruthless power move is to become the object of that craving. Don't chase, don't beg, make them crave you. When someone needs you to feel complete, they will excuse every red flag. They'll break their own rules. They'll even hand you the keys to their kingdom, just to stay close to the feeling you give them. So here's the ruthless insight. Make others crave you, and they will chain themselves willingly. You won't have to ask for power. They'll offer it, just to keep you around. That's not seduction. That's submission, dressed in silk. Beauty as political currency. Power doesn't always wear armor. Sometimes it wears a smile, a glance, a perfectly timed silence. Throughout history, kingdoms weren't just won by swords, they were won by faces. Monarchs married not for love, but for alliance, for access, for dominance. One beautiful heir could link two empires. One seductive queen could turn generals into servants. Machiavelli saw this clearly. Appearances can buy more loyalty than gold, because gold is spent once. But beauty, it lingers, it hypnotizes, it makes people forget logic and obey charm. Look at Cleopatra, Helen of Troy. Even in silence, their presence shifted nations. Beauty was never about vanity, it was political capital. So what's the ruthless insight here? If you can't be the most powerful in the room, be the most magnetic. Let your presence shape perception. Because once they see you as desirable, they'll treat you as valuable. And when people believe you're valuable, they'll move mountains to stay in your light. That's not seduction. That's strategy wrapped in skin. You don't need to be born with beauty. You need to understand its power and wield it with intention. Because in Machiavelli's world, even the most brutal kings bowed to the right smile. Lust distracts from strategy. Lust is a magician. It makes men forget their mission while staring at illusion. You've seen it. A man with empire-level potential, but all his energy spent chasing flesh, not building thrones. While he's distracted, someone else sharpens the knife. Someone else signs the deal. Someone else climbs the ladder, silently, ruthlessly. Machiavelli understood this. He didn't condemn lust. He simply asked, who's using it and who's being used by it? That's the ruthless divide. The clever ruler feeds his rivals with pleasure. He throws them women, wine, praise, and while they're drunk on it, he takes the throne. You want to see real-world proof? Look at history. Powerful men fell not from war, but from bedrooms, scandals, affairs, distraction. Because while they were feeding the body, they starved the empire. Here's the dangerous insight. Pleasure is easy. It feels like winning, but it's a trap, a velvet one. So what do? Let others chase pleasure. Let them rot in indulgence. While you build your army, refine your mind, position yourself above them. Because by the time they realize what they've lost, it will be too late. You won't just be ahead, you'll be ruling. That is how you turn lust into strategy. Seduction creates loyal pawns. Some rulers used gold, others used fear, but the smartest, they used desire. Because when you control what someone craves, you control them. Machiavelli saw this clearly. The most loyal servants weren't the ones paid to obey. They were the ones addicted to the person in power. Lovers become soldiers. Admirers become spies. Obsession becomes obedience. And here's the dark truth. People will do for lust what they'd never do for logic. They'll lie, betray, even kill, if it means staying close to what they desire. Not because they're weak, but because desire bypasses the brain and hijacks the heart. Think about it. You don't have to demand loyalty if they're already hungry for your attention. You don't have to order obedience if they'd rather lose everything than lose you. This is why seduction is deadlier than a sword, because a sword forces the body, but seduction bends the soul. So what's the ruthless insight? Don't just lead through logic. Don't just command through fear. Use desire. Create attachment. Make them want to serve you. Because when someone's loyalty is tied to their lust, they won't need contracts. They'll chain themselves. And you'll sit at the center, untouched, adored, and obeyed. Finally, you won't just rule their actions. You'll rule their desire. Control your own lust or be destroyed. History doesn't lie. The greatest kings didn't fall on the battlefield. They fell in the bedroom. Not from swords, but from softness. Not from war, but from wanting. Machiavelli warned, if you cannot govern yourself, you have no business ruling others. Because desire is like fire, warm when controlled, deadly when unleashed. One unguarded moment, one indulgent night, and an empire crumbles. It starts with excuses. It's just pleasure. I deserve this. I'll stop tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. And by the time you realize you've been owned by your desires, it's too late. The enemy doesn't need to attack you because you've already surrendered. So what's the ruthless insight? You want to use lust as a weapon. You want to seduce, influence, manipulate. Then first, you must chain the beast within. Conquer your urges. Resist temptation. Learn to walk through fire without letting it burn you. Because the man who controls his own lust cannot be bribed, cannot be blackmailed, cannot be broken. Finally, that man becomes dangerous, not because of what he desires, but because he no longer needs anything to feel powerful. Desire has conquered more men than fear ever could. You can threaten a man with death, and he'll stand tall. You can put a sword to his throat, and he might not flinch. But whisper to his desire, stroke his ego, offer him what he secretly craves. He'll kneel, willingly. That's the dark truth Machiavelli understood. Desire is the oldest weakness of mankind. Older than money, older than war, older than betrayal. And the one who controls desire doesn't need to raise an army. He only needs to awaken lust and leash the soul behind it. Because armies resist swords, but no man resists his own hunger. Control that, and you control everything. Imagine watching your enemies destroy themselves, not by your sword, but by their own desires. Imagine standing still while they chase pleasure like starving dogs, while they forget their mission, forget their power. And you don't chase, you control. You turn lust into a leash. You wrap it around their neck, and they don't even notice they've been captured. All while you remain untouched, unmoved, in command. Machiavelli's dark truth is simple. Lust is not just pleasure. It is power. Control it, wield it, or be destroyed by it. Because in the shadows of desire, only one emerges with the crown.